Pope Francis will be visiting African countries severely impacted by poverty, conflict and natural disasters. He'll tour Mozambique, Madagascar and Mauritius. They were previously visited by Pope John Paul II in 1988 and 1999. Now, the Jesuit Institute, South Africa's Father Anthony Egan, joins us now for more about this particular visit. Father, thank you very much for joining us. Perhaps you can start by reacting to the chaos and mayhem that we're seeing on the streets of South Africa before we get into the visit.
It's very distressing. It struck me, it's interesting to see how the chaos in Nigeria has been handled much better.
You think in Nigeria is being handled?
I think the police seem to handle it much better there than we've seen it happening here.
But revenge attacks are not...
No, I mean the police in Nigeria have said, no, we're not going to allow this. And they've, tried to keep that under control, whereas, this has been going on for how many days now?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a bit disturbing, and I wonder what's happening.
All right, let's get to the subject of why you're here.
Yes.
Talk to us about why the Pope has chosen the countries that he will be visiting. This is the second time around that he'll be visiting these countries. Well, after, of course, his predecessor.
Yes. Look, I think the Pope there is a certain sort of humour that says, well, he's working his way through the alphabet and he's at the letter M, because recently he was in Morocco. But I think that would be just simplistic. The truth is, Pope Francis is visiting these countries because he sees them as having a considerable importance in terms of development and poverty, and also the sort of situations in these countries. And I think about it. Mozambique is heading towards an election. That's the first thing, coming up soon. They've just had a peace accord. They're still recovering slowly from Idai and the floods and everything. And so the Pope wants to show a sort of solidarity and support for the people of Mozambique. All these countries, it's interesting to notice, aren't, necessarily Catholic countries. But there is a Christian presence in each of those places. But I think in particular Mozambique may be close to his heart because of his closeness to the San Egidio community in Rome, which is a lay community that way back in the 80s were deeply involved in facilitating the peace process that ended the civil war between Renamo and the government of Mozambique. In fact, one of the archbishops in Italy who was close to the whole San Egidio movement was just made a cardinal the other day. So Pope Francis is close to San Egidio. He knows the work San Egidio has been doing. And certainly he knows that the Church has played a significant role in trying to promote peace, build reconciliation, and also do a lot of development work in countries like Mozambique. Madagascar is another classic example. The Church in Madagascar is disproportionately influential in a very poor country, and a lot of the major work of development in Madagascar is done by the Church. So there's obviously a connection. And Mauritius is a wonderful example of a very culturally diverse country, which is the kind of place that Francis likes, because diversity and promoting peace between different communities and building up a more pluralistic culture is something that seems to be at his heart.
I know you said that the Pope is possibly working his way through the alphabets.
That's a bit of
People
a joke.
Listening to you and me this morning are wondering, South Africa needs prayers right now. Is there ever a chance that he may come here?
Oh, I hope so. I think he will one day, yes. Look, I think the situation in South Africa is such that I suspect he would say, well, everybody knows South Africa. How many people can actually find Mauritius on the map? And so his tendency is to go for places which are not necessarily in the public eye all the time, because he feels that, these countries need to be, in the eye of the public, especially a country like Mauritius, which, we think of as this beautiful place of beaches and tax havens. But in fact, when you look at the real economic condition of people there, they're much poorer than you think.
If memory serves, he was in Uganda at some point, and that was at the height of the attacks against people who are, the gay community.
Yes.
The visit by the Pope, it usually goes with the security concerns or safety concerns for him. How is that going to be handled? Just very briefly.
Look, I don't know the details of the security concerns, but I think his security detail are getting grey hairs because he tends not to take it all too seriously. It was a famous statement they said to him, but you know, Holy Father, you must be very careful, your security concerns. And he says, hey, if someone's going to get me, they're going to get me. So he has a much more sort of calm attitude to the problem of security. I don't see a security risk in places like Mozambique. Certainly the places he's visiting I don't think are high-risk areas.
All right. Thank you very much, Father. He is with the Je Suis Institute of South Africa, Father Anthony Egan.